My name's Matt Brewer. I teach jazz bass here at SFCM, and I've been teaching here since 2018. I would describe my teaching style as really trying to approach musicianship as a whole. So we're definitely working on improving our fundamentals on the instrument. The basic, most important things, like getting a good sound, playing in tune, having good time, having a good feel. That's kind of the bedrock of bass playing in really any form of improvised music, but jazz in particular. Gotta have a good sound, play in tune, have a good time. But in relation to that, I'm trying to improve all of their musicianship skills. So for anybody who improvises, it's not enough just to be good at your instrument. You have to work on ear training, and you need to understand harmony and theory, and you need to spend some time with rhythm, like studying. We spend a lot of time playing the drum set, like just working out, playing a ride cymbal and maybe some triplets between the snare drum and the bass drum, or just working out different polyrhythms. I'm really interested in teaching just basic musicianship skills. So ear training, rhythm, those are huge for me. If you want to be a good improviser, you really need those things. Yeah, let's start with I'll Be Seeing You.
So.
Cool. Yeah, that was good. That I'm not clear on your statement of the melody at the end of the first A. Mm-hmm. Like that seems a little. I mean, we haven't played this tune in a while, I guess.
Yeah.
But one other thing I noticed during the walking, like for I haven't really seen you do this before too much, but you spent a lot of time kind of walking in this area, like kind of higher on the A and D strings. And to me, you probably know what I'm going to say.
Yeah.
Like sound-wise, like it's just harder to make those notes really speak articulately.
Totally.
Like this note here versus like
it's a lot less like nasally.
But the thing that I like about that note in this register is that there's more articulation. So for me, like if we're really trying to hook up with a ride cymbal, like talked about a lot, like we're trying to like even copy the sound of a ride cymbal. So like get that attack and decay, like just like a cymbal would. And here, it's nice, but it's a little too nice.
Yeah.
It's like nice and round and kind of fluffy sounding. And this just has more like rhythm and articulation to it. So there was a few bars where you were like really walking like in this area of the bass, and like if we had been playing with drums, it just felt a little too soggy or something.
Totally.
I want the rhythm to feel like crisp and articulate. As opposed to,
Yeah.
I think one just propels the time a little more than the other does.
Yeah. I think I just I was playing a lot of electric bass today for the side-by-side, and I think I got in like electric bass land.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, I'm stuck here. But
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
It's easy to have that happen.
Totally.
And even though, I mean, it's so hard to like play a solo by yourself with no other instruments, but you could still like, I was talking about this in ensemble today, just varying the length of your spaces between phrases. Because I feel like people have a really common way that they do that. So like play a phrase and then they rest for a certain amount of time, then play a phrase and rest. And it's always sort of the same duration, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So being kind of intentional about like, okay, last time I let this amount of silence happen, like this time maybe instead of just 2 beats, I'm gonna let a full bar go by before I start another phrase, or maybe I'll even let 6 beats go by. Now maybe this next phrase I'll rest for only 2 beats, and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So there's just some kind of variation in not only in what you play, but in the amount of time that you don't play.
For sure.
So that people don't get to like, you don't want it to be predictable, I guess. 'Cause I feel like it doesn't tell as interesting a story.
Totally.
I'm trying to think of an example. And other things, even varying, like playing phrases that are short, like just a couple notes, and phrases where you're playing like a long string of 1/8 notes. It's always so hard to do, but let me try.
Yeah,
like,
if you want to take a chorus.
Sure. I'll walk a chorus first.
Yeah.
Trying to, it's so hard to do when nobody's playing with you. Like, that silence feels so scary.
Totally.
But really making a concerted effort to be like, all right, let me just not play for a second. Let me just sit there in that like really uncomfortable moment of like nothing happening. And then later, maybe there's a whole section of the tune where you're like, you know what, I'm gonna play some longer phrases where I don't leave as much space. And I feel like that makes the solo kind of have a more interesting arc, or like that journey is a little more interesting than like line.
Totally. Yeah, don't hear only eighth notes.
You know what I mean? Can you try that a little bit, soloing? Like maybe occasionally just think of really short phrases, leave a really intentional amount of space.
Cool.
And then later then you've earned those phrases where you play like kind of more stuff on the instrument and longer kind of notey sort of things.
Sure.
Yeah,
so
like same 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's cool. It's still mostly your rests are like 2, maybe 3 beats.
Yeah,
like,
I gotta like.
You know what I mean? It's like you play a phrase. You know what I mean? They're very similar amounts of rest.
Yeah.
So try and just live in that uncomfortable space of like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm not always leaving a ton of space, but at least a couple times, like it's just something to practice. Like you don't have to do it on the bandstand. Like, oh no, I'm not. You don't always want to be so in your head when you're performing live. But I think these kind of things are things you can practice in the practice room. Just be like, okay, what does it feel like to play a phrase? And I'm gonna let rest at least an entire bar.
Cool.
Yeah. If you try that one time, so every phrase, end every phrase and rest for at least 4 beats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
It's better, but it feels uncomfortable, right? It's like
yeah, it does. It feels it feels fun, but definitely like, I don't know. And it's like, especially like with you in the room, I have to like be like 1, 2, 3, 4, just to like make sure I'm on like,
right.
You know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be approximate. I'm just trying to make you leave more space between the phrases, and it kind of gives you time to like evaluate what you played and also think about what's coming next. Like, is the next phrase gonna be an extension of something I just played, or is it gonna be a complete departure, or is it gonna be something that answers what I just played? But if you don't give yourself a little time to think about those things, and then I think you're not really like phrasing. Yeah. Totally. I think that'll just help your phrasing. You can just do it in the practice room. Like, I'm gonna experiment. I'm gonna rest as intentionally as I play things.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Gotta play the space, you know.
What's that?
Play the space.
Yeah, you know.
Wilson's, you know.
Right. Yeah. Definitely. It makes sense. But then the other thing is just like try and have different focuses. I guess you can be like, all right, now I'm gonna focus on just the rhythms feeling really good, and because the changes, you'll play notes that are right. So if you shift your focus to like, oh, I just want to play rhythms that sound really nice.
Totally. How do you approach like kind of like having like rhythms that are, I mean, I guess like when you're with a band, then you kind of have that safety pad, with like the rhythm section behind you. But how do you like approach a phrase that can be challenging both rhythmically and kind of jumping in and out of thumb position, other than just kind of that taking that leap of faith?
Yeah. That's a good question. Let's see. So, for me, like the bass, I think we've talked about this a little bit. Like, it could do so many things. Like, it has a very vocal quality since there are no frets, and like the way we deal with intonation can really feel like a singer, more than say the piano or something like that. But another thing that it's like is like a drum kind of. So for me, those wide intervals, like wider leaps on the bass, it's like it does a couple things for me. Like, it can express like harmony, so it's like we can't really play. We can play some chords on the bass, but in general, like the next best thing we have is kind of like what a saxophonist might do, and like play a sound from the bottom of the instrument like to the top. So like I can play a voicing, but kind of play it note by note. So if I'm thinking in this tune, for instance, like something in E flat major, like, so that's kind of E flat major sharp 11. So that's like a quick arpeggio that's covers a lot of space. There it is. Here we go. So that's sort of an E flat major 13. I mean, I'm just using. So I might just take some sounds from that mode and spread them out across the instrument. And then for me, that starts to sort of sound like a chord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It starts to sound like harmony versus plain more melodic ideas. So I like that you can do both. Like I can play ideas that are closer together intervallically and that sound more melodic. And I can play ideas that are wider intervals that sound more like voicings. And I can play ideas that really just sound completely like rhythms. Like we've talked about this before, like what a tumbao is. Like right? So we have these 3 pitches that are like a fifth apart and then a fourth apart. And to me, that's like, it sounds like a set of drums or something. Like it could be a set of congas, like dun, dun, dun. Or like a drummer would tune like floor tom, rack tom, like higher rack tom. That sometimes I'll focus more on that. Like I'm just gonna play rhythms. I'll choose 3 pitches and kind of 3 pitches that are in the harmony, but I'm trying to think more like those are drums than they are notes. You know what I mean? Does that make any sense? That's maybe more for comping and stuff. But the other, so part of your question was about like playing like things from the bottom of the bass like into thumb position and back. And the other part was like about phrasing rhythmically.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of a loaded, open-ended question.
I don't know. For me, I guess that you just all your influences kind of come together. So like, so I guess Charlie Parker is a big one for me. Like rhythmically, about the way, like even if you're going to play a long string of 8th notes, like where you're going to place accents to make those 8th notes sound the most interesting. And so even in a long string of 8th notes, you can have all these subdivisions and groups of 5s and 4s and 3s, and just depending on where you accent things to make it syncopated. So, and it's a lot more interesting than like, that's hard to do. If I try and play just very even 8th notes, like it's kind of boring, but if I play, you know what I mean? So even maybe wouldn't always play so many long phrases like that, but just to illustrate, like if I do that, but I accent in certain places and it makes the line like dance a little more.
Totally.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Cool. Can you try playing the melody, but this is the first note of the melody?
Sure.
Just using your ear and trying to not think too much about what key you're in, just
Okay.
play the melody all the way through, starting on that note.
Cool.
Not quite. Not quite. There you go. Exactly. Yeah, this part we're not clear on, so we'll just start on the second half.
Cool.
Now. not. Nope.
Okay, so. Right.
Yep.
Then.
Yeah, yeah, close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, let's do the rhythm exercises. So bembe in one hand. So ging, 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 ging. And I think we were doing, yeah, let's start with first and second triplet in the left hand. So ging, 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 ging. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So in the left hand is going.
So. Yeah.
Try a little slower.
A little slower. So. So.
Okay, keep going.
Yeah, so.
But together it should sound like, that's it.
So. Yeah.
We'll work on it.
For sure.
Yeah. So eventually we're going to do all the triplet partials. So first and second triplet, and then second and third triplet, like just like we did with the right simple pattern.
Cool.
So it's a second and third. And the first and second again. Yeah, so let's continue with that,
Cool.
I guess. So let's say F whole half diminished.
Cool. F whole half. So.
Yeah, just all the notes that are in that position. You can do, in half position, let's also add open strings when available.
So.
Okay.
And then.
Okay, next.
And then. Oh, so.
Skip one now.
Wait, I did?
Yeah. Yep, there you go.
And then. So.
So first finger on the A flat on the E string.
on, oh. So, and then, yeah.
Not quite.
You're right, I'm playing the
Yeah, so just remember, like, this particular diminished mode, like, the whole half diminished to me, like, feels more minor, right? Because it starts out first same, like, 4 notes of a minor scale.
and then flat 5 with a minor 6 too.
Yeah, to the. So for me, some of the attributes that make it stand out are like that it has a major 7, so that sound. And then there's also a major 9, right? And so it almost has this kind of like minor with a major 7 feeling versus the other diminished mode, which feels more dominant, right?
Yeah.
Because the whole half octatonic scale is like. That's all right. Sorry. So that has literally all the notes in a dominant chord, but so you kind of lead into the 3rd, into the 5th, into the 7th. And the one we're doing whole half, for me, it helps me remember it this way. I'm like, all right, it has a major 7, it has a major 9.
So.
Yeah, so let's start again, first finger on A flat.
Cool. And then.
Missing one note. Yeah. Nope.
Oh.
Yep. Okay, first finger on A, so second finger on B flat.
Yeah, so, and then.
Is there a natural 5th in that one?
Oh, so.
Nope.
Oh, great. So it'd only be this note on the top, right?
Yeah. Well, not just that one.
And then.
Okay. Let's start second finger B flat again.
So.
You missed one though.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
So B flat, B, and then E.
What note
Or
is that?
sorry, D,
Yeah.
E, and then D, E, and then
What note is that?
G, A flat, and then C sharp.
There you go.
Yeah. And then E, D, B flat.
Skipped one though.
Oh,
Yeah.
and B natural, B flat. So then B flat, B natural, and then
What note are you playing?
E natural.
It's not an E natural.
Oh, sorry. So E flat, which isn't in the scale, right? So
I mean, you should play an E natural, but you weren't playing an E natural. So start first finger on B flat again.
so B flat, B, and then E
There you go.
natural, and then
What note is that?
C sharp, and then C sharp, and D. So.
Cool.
And then, since we're in like C now,
No, first finger on B.
so
There you go.
right? So, and then,
Not quite.
Oh.
Okay, starting on fourth finger on E, coming down, like on the E on the G string.
oh,
Okay, can you say the names of the notes as you go down?
so E, D, and then B.
Is that a? Yeah. Okay. Great.
Yeah, so B,
Great.
B flat, and then F, E, and then B natural, B flat. So,
We should be first finger on B. So.
so B, then D flat, and then E, F. So, right?
You keep saying the names of the notes.
Yeah. So B, D flat, B, I'm gonna C sharp, E, F, and then A, which
Is
is
an
it?
A though?
No. B flat,
Yeah, exactly.
and then D, so E, D, B flat, F, E, and then C sharp, B.
Cool, and then one more. The
And
first
then-
finger on C, so second finger on C sharp.
Yeah.
But second finger on C sharp.
And then, so that'd be C, D, F, G, and then B flat, B natural, and then E, F. So F, E, C, B, or what should it technically be? And then just only B's in the key.
Yeah.
B, and then G, F, and then D, C sharp.
There you go.
Okay. Yeah.
It starts to get tricky up in that area.
Yeah.
It's like, what are these notes even?
Yeah. Because like when I was shutting this over break, I just gotta like change the way I do this, because I was like going just up and down this scale. I would like program like the whole half and half whole diminished scales in all of the kind of 6 scales before it just starts repeating itself.
Yeah.
And I would shed it up and down and try to memorize the notes, but it was still like when it's like only within the position, I still get like confused.
I know, yeah, it's
But-
really tricky. Me too, that's why that's why I made up this exercise. But I mean, also spend some time just improvising with that sound. You know? Half diminished. I mean, that's a great sound. I mean, there's a reason there's so much like 20th century classical music that with kind of octatonic sort of material. That's a cool sound. But we want to know it. All these modes over like every inch of the fingerboard, so that when we start getting into here and like, okay, you limit yourself. What notes do I have access to only in this position? And then also when you're practicing it, like improvise with it. Just try and when you start making actual music with it, that I feel like it sticks in your mind more than like, oh, this is just a scale exercise I'm doing. Getting the sound in your head is more important than knowing exactly where everything. I mean, you want to do both, but.
It's like my favorite thing to do on fretless.
I know.
Just the-
It was fun.
Yeah.
Why don't you improvise a little bit just in that mode? I'll just.
In half hole?
Yeah. It's like F half hole.
Okay. So.
No E flats though.
Oh yeah. So.
My bad. My bad.
I was gonna say.
I told you the wrong mode.
Wait a minute. There is
You
an
were
E
very
flat here.
diligently playing the other one. So do whole half.
Whole half.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
That's something it's a little easier with electric to like, you can sit at the piano, play a chord,
Yeah.
and hear some, I mean, you can kind of do that on the upright, but, or I mean, you can also just program some stuff, like you're good at Ableton, like, to get used to these sounds, like just program a voicing or like a shifting set of, you know, just.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really get the sound in your head, not just, oh, my fingers are supposed to go here.
Totally. Yeah. I'll do part of that when I get home today. Just program a little something.
Evil, diminished sounding stuff.
This evil Ableton beat.
Nice. Any questions about any of that stuff?
I guess not. It's just kind of one of those, scale exercises where I just gotta really just like spend, like, just really kind of cementing it in. Yeah, because it's tricky. Because like from like any like root note, like I can just like play this, like play any fails, or play like, play it as like a substitute for like a 2-5-1, and like when I'm improvising it, it's like slowly getting into my kind of improvising, like my vocabulary. But right now, it's still just like position by position. And like even when I'm on like electric bass, like that was the thing, is that I practice more E bass because like I have just like a plywood bass at home, and it's a lot easier to like get myself motivated on that. But with that, there's just way easier visual cues on an E bass.
Yeah, especially, I mean, you started on electric bass. So, but like I said, like eventually you just want, if somebody says like, oh, F whole half diminished, like the fingerboard should light up with like, oh, I have these choices. Like,
Totally.
The notes that are in that mode should just kind of light up everywhere.
Yeah. I also wanted to ask, because you get like a really clean sound like within this register, and like for some reason with me especially, I don't know if it's just like the way the bass in this B flat, but like in a matter how I pluck it, or I don't know if you get the same buzz or what.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you really might just have a.
Yeah. There's like no one in the Bay that really.
You know, your fingerboard's not in terrible. But you can see where there are ridges, like where the notes are. Well, like I just learned this actually. I know nothing about this stuff, but it might just be. Wait. Sometimes if it starts buzzing, like you can find out like where exactly
the ridges.
I guess it does it a little bit less than when I play. But some of it, I think the clarity of sound in general, it's helpful to really press.
Yeah.
Sometimes I think you maybe could press a little harder. And eventually, like when your hands keep getting stronger, it'll just be kind of second nature. But I mean, some of it is right hand, but you have like you're getting a good like full sound out of the bass. But really, like the stronger your left hand gets, that'll also improve the clarity.
Totally. Like, yeah, because I'm really like.
I mean, your bass maybe just needs some work.
Well, that too, yeah. But cool.
Cool.
Yeah, I'll have that. Shut it
for next time.
Cool. Yeah.
Sweet.
Awesome.